Hey guys, it's Sakina of My Brown Sparkles. Welcome to my channel. If you are a returning subscriber or viewer, welcome. It's been a while since I've actually filmed a video where I'm going to actually edit it, and I'm actually excited about this video because it's something that I've wanted to do a video on for a while. I will go ahead and preface this. I'm filming outside at a park because I want it to be near water, and it might get a little loud. It's quite a windy day. You might hear some birds and animals in the background because yeah, I'm outside. So just wanted to let you know that. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I want to let you know that I am your eco-friendly sustainability hostess with the mostest, and my channel is all about showing you how to live a luxurious life that is harmonious with the wonderful earth that we live on. I do think we can blend the two without really causing so much harm on this earth, and that's what my channel is all about. So you'll learn everything from cooking healthy meals. You learn everything from cooking healthy meals to clean beauty product reviews to just fashion style, how to develop a sustainable wardrobe, whether that be ethical clothing brands or whether that is just learning how to find high quality pieces that are going to last you for years to come, and learning how to mend your clothes, things like that. And then of course I'm adding the spirituality aspect to it because that is really what my focus has been on the last year, and I feel like I haven't really wanted to create content because I really couldn't figure out a way to include it into my platform. But now I'm going to go ahead and bring the spirituality to you because I think that is one of the ways that you can learn to become more eco-friendly, because you have to be in tune with nature, and nature is very spiritual. So I'm very excited to bring this to you. So in this video, I want to share with you the top 7 spiritual books that have had a profound impact on my life, and I'm going to give them to you in order or level of complexity, because as we all know, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I feel like these books have definitely been introduced into my life as I was ready on my spiritual journey to absorb the information that was being presented. So without further ado, let's get into this video. Okay, so book number 1 is this tiny little thing here. It's a tiny little book, and it's called The 4 Agreements. Now this book, I don't remember how I learned about the 4 Agreements. It might have been something I was reading online probably around the year 2015. I had a lot of spiritual awakening happen around the age of 24. And I think that was around the, I think that was around the year 2015, maybe 2014. But I was starting to get a lot of signs from the universe, and I was learning about the law of attraction. And I think I learned about this maybe not too long after that, but I would say the level of this book is very simple to digest. It's really tiny. It's a quick read. I literally read this maybe in one day or maybe 2 days if I don't really feel like reading all of it. And there are 4 agreements that come from the ancient Toltec traditions. And those 4 agreements are: be impeccable with your word. The second agreement is don't take anything personally. And the third agreement is don't make assumptions. The fourth agreement is always do your best. My favorite agreement is be impeccable with your word, because I do believe that when you're impeccable with your word, your speech is like you're casting a spell. Everything that you say that comes out of your mouth, you're casting a spell into your reality. So I have been more cognizant of the things that I say, because man, can they have a really bad effect on your life, especially the higher up you start to ascend. And the higher your frequency is, you're going to manifest things a lot quicker. So you have to be very careful about things that come out of your mouth, because you are literally spelling. That's why it's called spelling. You're casting a spell on your life. I have these little levels that I'm going to grade this. So because this is like the lowest level of complexity, I give this one a white belt in karate style. So I don't know karate, never took the class, but I thought it'd be cute to kind of level these books in belts that you get in karate. So this is a white belt, which is like the lowest level of belt, and I highly recommend you read it. The agreements are super profound. They're very simple, but they really make a huge impact in your life if you apply them. So this is book number 1. Okay, so I'm gonna pause here. I know you guys are ready for book number 2, but before I give you book number 2, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and hit that like button, which is the thumbs up button. And if you have not already done so, go ahead and subscribe, because guys, I have so much great content coming to you guys and you're not gonna wanna miss it. So have you done that yet? Thank you. I love you. Appreciate you. All right, let's get into book number 2. So book number 2 is another really quick read. You see how thin that is, guys? This is something that you could read probably in a day or maybe 2, if you really want some extra time to read it and soak it in. But this book is called The Game of Life, and it is by Florence, Scovel, Shinn. And I remember where I learned about this. It was definitely the internet. I was reading some kind of forum or some sort, maybe around the time that I was really into Abraham Hicks, which I love Abraham Hicks. I would say her teachings are the first law of attraction teachings. This is like a side note. Her teachings are the first law of attraction teachings that really like opened my eyes. When I first learned about Abraham Hicks, like that's gonna have to be a whole entire new video, because it took me a long time to actually to allow myself to digest what was happening with her. But anyways, so I learned about this book online through someone else who kind of mentioned her. I think it was when I was searching about law of attraction, Abraham Hicks type stuff, and a person had mentioned this book, and I was like, okay, let me check this book out. So I looked it up, and I remember I looked it up and I saw how little it was and how inexpensive it was, so I decided to purchase it. And basically, The Game of Life by Florence Scovel Shinn is basically her teaching you the principles of life. She basically says, and I'm going to read it from the intro of the book, The Game, the first chapter. It is a game, however, which cannot be played successfully without the knowledge of spiritual law. The Old and the New Testaments give the rules of the game with wonderful clearness. So this is how she describes life. She's basically saying it's a game, and she's saying the Old and New Testament in the Bible give us the rules of the game. And from this book, I want to go ahead and I want to give you guys my favorite 2 quotes from the book. And quote number 1 is, "So long as man resists a situation, he will have it with him." And then the second quote is, "When there is in him no emotional response to an inharmonious situation, it fades away forever from his pathway." And I will say that this quote or this principle has always stuck with me, especially in trying times, whenever I'm in a situation where I really hate it. And even Abraham Hicks talks about this too. I always remember, whatever you resist persists, is something that I've heard before. And so whenever I'm really having trouble with something that is challenging, something that is like annoying me, I have to always remind myself that the longer I resist this, the more it's gonna stay here. And it is when I come into agreement with it and I allow it and I don't fight it, that's when it's all gonna fall away. So this book is a level orange belt, and I think you should definitely check it out if you want a quick read that's got good principles that are going to help you with your life and creating the life that you want. All right, so next book is The Power of Now. Yes, we're getting to some stuff you probably know about. This is going to be a blue belt. It's the blue belt. And I will tell you this, I remember vividly when I was first introduced to Eckart Tolle. You know, back in the day when Oprah was on air, I was a huge fan of Oprah, and she had Eckart Tolle on her show, and I really wanted to understand him and get him. And eventually I did end up buying or looking into one of his books. I probably checked it out at the library, and I could not get into it, guys. This was around the year 2014, 2015. I remember this. Around that time where I was having my deep awakening, I was like, okay, let me check out this book then. And it didn't work. It didn't work. I just couldn't understand it. His voice was just not there. Like sometimes, and this is for me, I'm not sure how this is for other people, but sometimes certain authors, their voice does not resonate with me. Right? It doesn't resonate with me, and for some reason when I'm reading it, it's just like I can't focus on it, I can't digest it, and it just like when I'm reading the words, my mind is somewhere else. And that's how Eckart Tolle was for me for a long time. And then eventually, I don't know, I got to a level in my life where I was like, let me try it again. And when I picked the book up this time, it was like, oh wow, this is deep. You know, it was like I had finally gotten to that level in my spirituality where I was able to actually receive what the message was that he was saying, and his voice was perfect. Like his literary voice was perfect, and I had no problems understanding it. So just to kind of summarize what the Power Amount is all about, basically the big thing that Eckhart Tolle is about is he's all about being present and being in the now and not creating time. And so that is basically what the book is about, how to not create time. He teaches you about the mind and the different games and manipulations the mind plays on us and how the mind uses us. So that's kind of a summary of the book. Let me go ahead and give you my top 2 quotes from the book. Quote number 1 is going to be this. It's from You Are Not Your Mind, that chapter. It says, thinking has become a disease. Dis-ease happens when things get out of balance. And that is quote number 1. And quote number 2 is, the mind always seeks to deny the now and to escape from it. And this is very similar. It goes back to Florence Scovel Shinn, where she's saying what you resist, is going to stay persistent in your reality. And it's kind of the same thing. When we're faced with something that we don't want to deal with, our mind wants to run. Our mind wants to rush out of there immediately. It doesn't want to deal with whatever's going on. And as we'll get into other teachers who teach this as well, a lot of it is you need to be present. You need to be present, give your presence to whatever it is that's bothering you, and it'll cease to exist. If you don't resist it and you're present with it, it will cease to be there as a hindrance to you. All right, guys, so now we're getting to the really juicy stuff. This is the stuff that has really helped me understand how I can transform my life and how to change myself internally. Because one thing you'll learn as you get on your spiritual path is that you will learn that your external reality is nothing but a reflection of your internal reality. You take yourself with you wherever you go. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, How to Lose Your Mind and Create a New One by Dr. Joe Dispenza. This is definitely one of my faves. I love Dr. Joe Dispenza. I love him. He is one of my favorite teachers. I actually went to one of his workshops a few years ago. I was introduced to his work through an old friend. She introduced me to his work and I was hooked. After that, I was completely hooked and ended up going to one of his workshops, which was magical for me. And this book right here, I got deep into this book this year. I had already read it twice already, and I needed to read it a third time to really gather what I got from it this third go around. I'm not saying it's my last time, but I'm saying I've read it 3 times and I've been able to receive different things each time. This is that type of book. It's the type of book where the first time you read it, you might not catch everything. The second time, you'll get something new. The third time, you're like, whoa, I didn't really digest that fully. So you really got to go back and study it because it's really science-based. But I like his work because it kind of melds the two worlds of science and spirituality or metaphysics. So this is the book, and in this book he is teaching you how to basically create a new mind, because that is what is going to help you create a new life. So you have to lose the mind that you already have to create the new one that you want, the new life that you want. And he teaches you techniques to do this through meditation and things of that nature that are going to help you reprogram your subconscious to have the life that you want to have. But I want to go ahead and give you for quote number 1. This is from the chapter 3 Brains, Thinking to Doing to Being. And it says, no person, no thing, and no experience at any time or place should disrupt your internal chemical coherence. Oh my God, I just had an epiphany. OMG, that makes so much sense. See, this stuff, it just keeps teaching you. As you get deeper into your spiritual journey, it just keeps teaching you and teaching you and teaching you. No person, no thing, no experience at any time or place should disrupt your internal chemical coherence. That means that nothing should bother you to the point of anger or jealousy or envy or those lower vibrational emotions. Nothing external should ignore. It might not be pleasant, but you shouldn't be internally affected and put in a feeling of feeling negative emotions. That's what that means. And I totally comprehend that. And sometimes that's hard for us. That is so hard for so many of us to be able to observe something or even interact with someone who's unpleasant and not be moved to some kind of negative state of mind from it, whether it be anger or want to, you know, react in some kind of negative way. It's very, very powerful, because when you allow something external to cause you disruption inside of you, that thing now controls you. So that's quote number 1, page 171. The quote is, you are transparent when you appear, you are transparent when how you appear is who you are. So that one is really important. It's from the chapter called The Gap, because what he teaches in manifestation, in creating the life that you want, is nothing in your life is going to manifest fully until you close that gap. You have to close the gap between who you are and who you say you want to be. Between there, sometimes it's a small gap for some people, sometimes there's a large gap, but there's some things in between. That's why it hasn't manifested, because you have not come into full embodiment and agreement of the thing that you said that you want. You have not become the person that you need to become for that thing to fully manifest. And so you have to close that gap in order for it to kind of come together and materialize. And I just love his work so much. There's so many good teachings. I might have to do an entire video on my favorite things about this book, because as you can see, I have highlighted this book up so much. Like, I have taken so many gems from this book, and I've studied it so many times, and this year I did a deep dive into it and was really able to internalize a lot of it. I have a lot of his meditations, and I do his meditations periodically, and yeah, he really helps me just become and prune myself. He helps me prune all the things that I don't want inside of me and become the person that I do want to become. So this is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Highly recommended if you're at that level. You know, yeah, the power of now, you definitely, there's a teacher on YouTube. He's called New World All-Star. I watch his videos. I used to watch his videos a lot more, but I've kind of stopped because I don't want to get caught up in the twin flame thing. But he talks about that you need to Eckart Tolle yourself before you can Joe Dispenza yourself. And I totally agree, because you have to be very, 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 very present to be able to do the work that Joe Dispenza teaches you how to do. The next book is The Untethered Soul. And this book was also recommended to me from the same friend. And I was introduced to this probably around the year of 2019 or 2018. And let me tell you, I love Michael Singer. This is another one of those teachers where as soon as I, learned about him and started reading his material, I was hooked, and I literally went down a deep dive. I watched all his interviews on YouTube. I've watched or listened to his audiobooks, because he has another book, and he has a book where he talks about how he surrendered in life and how everything that came to him, he just said yes to, and he pretty much just immersed himself with it. Deeply spiritual man, great and wonderful teacher. This book teaches you how to not have any resistance and how to clear energetic blockages. And the untethered soul, a tether is, it's something, he's basically saying that when you have a tether, it's something that is pulling, and it's kind of like causing disturbance within you. Sorry guys, I had to stop that because those folks were making a lot of noise. So he teaches you to remove those inner thorns, right? And the inner thorns are the things that cause disturbance within you. And we just talked about that with, was it Joe Dispenza? Or was it, who were we talking about? When I basically was telling y'all that, nothing outside of you should disturb what's going on inside of you. Yeah, that was Joe Dispenza. He was basically, he said, no inner disturbance. So basically it's the same thing. So nothing outside of you should, basically what Michael Singer teaches is whenever something outside of you, when you feel that shift in your heart, that change, let go. Don't continue to try to interact with whatever it is. Don't question it. Don't analyze it. Don't do anything with it. Just let it go. And so that is what he teaches. And I want to go ahead and give you guys 2 quotes from this book. Transcending the tendency to close. Spiritual growth is about the point at which you start to feel your energy change. And the second quote is, the moment you see the energy getting imbalanced inside, the moment you see the heart starting to tense and get defensive, you just stop. And I've dealt with this many a times, especially when I'm having a lot of internal conflict, which I have a lot. I'm sure a lot of us do. Whenever I get to a point of internal conflict, I'm like, I end up having these two forces inside of me telling me to do this, to do that, to do this, to do that. And that is my hardest challenge, is what do I do? What decision do I make? And I think sometimes I decide not to do anything, or I don't know, sometimes I'm just choose one. It doesn't really matter what you do. But that's what happens when I have an internal conflict. I end up having this, it's like I have a devil and an angel on my shoulder, and I'm like, which one should I do? Which choice should I make? And I get to this crossroad, and it's like, there is no wrong choice. There is no wrong choice. And so I always end up having to go back to this book, because sometimes his words help me through that process, and I'm getting quicker at it. I'm getting faster at it. That's definitely something I've observed, that when I do come to those crossroads, I end up, going through them a lot quicker than in the past. A lot of times I used to ruminate on things way too long, and I'm able to make decisions faster. But great book. I highly suggest looking at his interviews on YouTube, because all of them are wonderful. I've probably watched every single one. Sounds True, they have a lot of interviews with him on their podcast, and you can listen to his interviews with Sounds True on their podcast. It's there. It Sounds True, and I think it's Journeys Through the Waters of the Mind, and he just kind of talks about different spiritual aspects, and I just love his work so much. So this book is a brown belt, and I didn't tell you the level of belt that Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself was, but it was a green belt. So we're now at the brown belt stage, and all right, so we are on to our next book number 6. And this book, something shifted in me yesterday, and I understand now. Like I said, God is working through me so fast. Things are happening in my life so fast. If you have not already watched this video right here, where I talk about how I manifested something really similar to what I wanted at within hours of reading this book, be sure to check it out. But yeah, the book is Neville Goddard's The Complete Reader. So it's kind of a cheat, because it's a complete reader. It has several of his little books. Some of the books are really tiny, but it has several of his teachings in here, and I'm working on it now. And I have heard about Neville Goddard. I've seen his name pop up on YouTube a lot of different people who teach about law of attraction and manifestation. They do videos on Neville Goddard, and I was like, who is this Neville Goddard person? They don't even talk about Abraham Hicks anymore. They talk about Neville Goddard. I was like, who is this Neville Goddard person? And I would watch those videos, and the stuff that they would say would make kind of make sense, but I was like, whatever. And then when I tried to listen to some of the YouTube, there's audios on YouTube where you can actually listen to him reading his books, and I don't like it. I didn't like it at all. I couldn't stand his voice, his accent. I couldn't stand his voice, his literary voice. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm the kind of person, someone's literary voice, if it doesn't resonate with me, it's really hard for me to absorb what they're saying. And I kid you not, I just realized this, and I'm going to share this with you now, because this is another manifestation that happened within less than 24 hours. My dad had this book, and so I borrowed it from him, because I found out that he had the book, and I was like, you know what, I have been hearing so much about him, let me borrow it. And yesterday, I sat down with I didn't sit down with my dad. I was speaking with my dad, and he asked me, so how's the book going? And I was like, Dad, I'm working on it, I'm trying. But I'm having a hard time, because his literary voice is so hard for me to digest. And my dad was like, really? He's like, man, I just blow through it. And he was like, I'll listen to his videos on YouTube, and then I'll just read the book, and it's really easy for me to digest. I don't have any issues with it. And I was like, okay, well, I said, I'm gonna work on it again today. And so I sat down yesterday and I read, and that's when I was able to put one of his teachings into practice, and I was able to manifest something quite quickly. Or similar. It wasn't the exact thing, but it was like a God wink, what I call it. It's like you're getting close. But this morning when I woke up and I did my journaling and meditation and my affirmations, I decided I wanted to work on reading this first thing in the morning. For 20 minutes I read, and I was absorbing it so much faster. Like, it was like all of a sudden it just made sense after weeks of trying, weeks, maybe even months, because I've tried listening to, like, I put on a video on YouTube and try to listen, and I couldn't focus. But like this morning I was into it and I was like, oh, okay, this is making a lot more sense. I'm digesting this a lot faster. So something definitely shifted overnight. Okay, so this book and Neville Goddard's teachings in general, I would call a brown belt, because it's kind of, his literary voice, like I said, it's kind of convoluted. It's not, I don't think it's very clear, but once you're ready for it, once you're ready to digest it, you'll be able to. So I'll give it a brown belt. And the summary of Neville Goddard's teaching, he puts a lot of his stuff comes from the Bible, which is something that I really like. He blends a lot of biblical texts with his work, and he explains what that means, and he teaches you about how everyone is you pushed out, meaning that what you see in that other person is you. That's you. If you're seeing it outside of you, it's what's inside of you. And a lot of his teachings are great. He has techniques and he has stories in here from people who abuse those techniques and how they manifest it, and I think that's what I like the most. But really powerful book, because I feel like as soon as I've started trying to read this book, and I'm talking, when I say I'm reading it, like maybe I'll get through 2 pages, literally there's a shift in my life that happens. So I think the words in this book are powerful. I think they are potent. I think that the words are activated already, and I think that you are activating something inside of you every time you digest something in this book. So be careful. No, okay. I kind of feel like be careful because I'm manifesting at such a faster rate, and it's because my vibration is raised. And let me tell you guys, when your vibration is at a certain level, and I aim for love and above, and I might have to do a video on that, but I aim for a vibration of love and above, that is when you manifest so much quicker, man. And I have to be very, very careful because, like I said, things are just showing up like that. And yeah, I highly recommend this if you're ready to take your manifestation and change your life quicker, or just you're ready to take it to the next level. This is the book for you. All right, guys, we are at book number 7, and I wish I could share more books with you guys. There's one other book, maybe 2, that I'll give honorable mentions at the end of this, but it has taken me such a long time to get through this book. I'm not even near being done with the book, and that's why it's my top black belt book on this list, because it has taken me years. Like, I've been working on this book for at least 2 years now, and I'm not even anywhere near done, because it's the way that this person writes is in parables, or this person talks is in parables. And if you don't already know what I'm talking about just based off of that, well, let me go ahead and show it to you. It is the Holy Bible. This is a black belt. And it's probably one of the most important books of our time. And let me give you a backstory. I was raised Muslim. I was raised Muslim. I am a believer through and through. Always have been. However, I have accepted Christ into my life because I understand what Christ is. It's not a white man with a beard. That is not what Christ is. Christ is a consciousness. It is a level of consciousness that connects you with the one and only divine. So you can kind of see how far I've gotten. I am in Samuel right now. That's where I am. I am in Samuel. And I've actually skipped ahead. Like, I've read other parts of the Bible. If someone represents the Bible, I'll go back and read it for myself. So I've read different chapters. I've read all of Matthew. I've read different chapters. I've read different is it the Proverbs? I got Ezekiel in here, it's highlighted. So I've been through here, but I've never read the Bible from the front to the back. And I'm the kind of person where you should not just take things at face value, and you should definitely not just listen to people based off of what they tell you. Go and do your own research. You need to go and you need to research it on your own, and that's how you'll truly know the answer. Otherwise, you can just be fooled and people can just be lying to you your entire life because you're just going off of hearsay. And I'm not that type of person. I'm the type of person who I'll listen to it, I'll take it in, and I'll let me go do my own research and see how true that is. So I've been working my way through the Bible, and I feel like God is activating me through the Bible. God has been activating me through the Bible. I've fully accepted Christ into my life, and I am so committed to God now. Like, God wants me to put God first in every single thing. And when people say that, I don't think that some people understand. That means everything. That means everything, meaning God is guiding my life. I'm no longer guiding my life. I tell God what I want. I definitely tell God what I want, and I trust that if it's a heart desire, if it's from my heart, God's going to give it to me in his time. But sometimes God has plans for us that he needs to use us to do things for him. And God is definitely working on reclaiming his kingdom. You know, things on this planet have gotten really, really weird, especially in the last few years. And God is like, I need my people. And I feel that in my life. And I surrendered myself to God at the age of 24. And I got lost along the way because I wasn't fully surrendered. And as we all do, we all sin. We all miss the mark. That is what sin means, to miss the mark. And I've done that, especially in my 20s. But that is the first time I had like a deep spiritual awakening. The second time was in 2017. I want to do an entire video on that. I think I might film it after this because I'm kind of feeling called to do it now. But yes, the Holy Bible will change your life if you want to let it. And I am by no means religious, but I am a believer. God is first. I believe in Christ. I accept Jesus Christ. I believe that Jesus Christ died for our sins, because I believe that Jesus Christ, if you read Neville Goddard and he explains this, Christ is the ability to forgive our sins or someone's sins. And to become Christ-like is to be able to forgive and forget. That's what that is. That's what love is. Like, you have to be able to forgive people and not let it, don't hold those grudges, because that's what eats you alive. That's what eats you up, and that's what kills you and blocks your blessings and all of that. So the Holy Bible is book number 7. It is the top spiritual book on my list. I've never read the Quran, but I'm pretty sure that as soon as I finish the Bible, I might dive into the Quran, because that is the book that I was raised on. I just never understood it. Okay, so now it's time for us to get into our quotes. I have 2 quotes. The first quote is from Deuteronomy. So if you it's from Deuteronomy. If you can turn to your page, Deuteronomy, verse 20. We're gonna do our Bible study right now. Okay, so in my Bible, it's page 116. Thou shalt fear the Lord thy God, him shalt thou serve, and to him shalt thou cleave and swear by his name. Let me just go ahead and say this. Cleave into God with all your heart. But that was the quote, and I do fear the Lord. However, I don't think that God is scary. I just know that God is in control. So whenever my ego tries to get in control, I know God will humble me like that. God has humbled me in the past week, and he told me he was humbling me. And I'm just like, God, like, what did I do? Like, why are you humbling me? Because literally, I heard God's voice. I'm humbling you. And I'm just like, okay. But whatever. That's that. That was quote number 1. Quote number 2 is in Matthew chapter 18, verse 3. I'm going to turn to my page in my Holy Bible, 542. And it reads, and said, Verily I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Now, there's a lot of really cool quotes, I'm sure, in the Bible. I haven't gotten that deep into it, but I saw that quote that I highlighted, and I was like, I'm going to choose this quote because I literally just had this vision. I don't know if it was this morning or yesterday. I was realizing like that I was beginning to desire to do the things that I wanted to do when I was a kid, just like be fun and play and dance and sing and be creative. And I just realized, I was like, wow, we're all just little kids. Like, I mean, I've known this, but sometimes it hits me again. Like, we're all just little kids living in adult bodies, and you have to become innocent like kids again, is what this is saying, to enter into the kingdom of heaven. Because heaven is, you're using your imagination, really. It's being able to go into that imaginative state. Kids are always playing make-believe, and they're always pretending, and they live in a little heaven. They live in a little bubble world that they've created for themselves. And I think that's what that that verse says to me is like, the kingdom of heaven is not something that's out there. It's literally internal. It's a state of mind. It's a state of being. And you can either choose to live in hell or you can choose to live in heaven on earth while you're here on earth. And that's how I see it. That's how I interpret the Bible. And the Bible has been interpreted in so many different ways, depending on whose perception it is, you know, that it's being read from, or perspective, I should say. So that's why I like the Bible, because you can kind of take it and take those passages in anything in life, not just the Bible, but you can take it and apply it to your reality, your perspective, and how it relates to the world you're living in. And that's how that particular verse relates to the way Sakina's world is playing out right now. But that is it. I'm gonna edit this down, and I hope it's not over 20 minutes. But if it is, I'm sure it's gonna be all the good, juicy, good stuff. And I hope that you gain something from this video. I'm not gonna become a Bible thumper per se, but I'm gonna be bringing you a lot more God, because it's in me and I have to. It's part of my duty to continue to spread the word of God and the desires of God that comes through me, and just be authentic about it. I'm not someone who's shy about my belief in my faith. So if that is you, I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you hit subscribe, because we're gonna go on a journey together with these spiritual teachings and this spiritual stuff that I have coming for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will definitely be seeing you guys soon. I have a lot of videos that I'm planning on filming, and I cannot wait to download them to you guys. So I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.